164. A supreme love. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, Tuesday synthesis is Pallavi's hereditary right. So, she is the one who started it. So, Pallavi, if you are ready with the text, you can read.
Yes, Rangada. Yes, Rangada.
Okay, a supreme divine love.
A supreme divine love is a creative power, and even though it can exist in itself, silent and unchangeable, yet rejoices in external form and expression, and is not condemned to be a speechless and bodiless God. It has even been said that creation itself was an act of love, or at least the building up of a field in which divine love could devise its symbols and fulfill itself in act of mutuality and self-giving. And if not the initial nature of creation, this may well be its ultimate object and motive. It does not so appear now because even if a divine love is there in the world, upholding all this evolution of creatures, yet the stuff of life and its action is made up of an egoistic formation, a division, a struggle of life and consciousness to exist and survive in an apparently indifferent, inclement, or even hostile world of inanimate and inconscient matter. In the confusion and obscurity of this struggle, all are thrown against each other with a will in each to assert its own existence first and foremost, and only secondarily to assert itself in others, and very partially for others. For even man's altruism remains essentially egoistic and must be so till the soul finds the secret of the divine oneness. It is to discover that at its supreme source, to bring it from within and to radiate it out up to the extreme confines of life that is turned the effort of the yoga. All action, all creation must be turned into a form, a symbol of the cult, the adoration, the sacrifice. It must carry something that makes it bear in it the stamp of a dedication, a reception and translation of the divine consciousness, a service of the beloved, a self-giving, a surrender. This has to be done wherever possible in the outward body and form of the act. It must be done always in its inward emotion and an intensity that shows it to be an outflow from the soul towards the eternal.
So, interesting para. So, he is talking of love, and the love at the highest level is pure self-giving. But at the physical level here, it becomes slightly tainted by egoism and selfishness. But still, human love, even when it is impure, it's a power. Okay, that's what he's discussing. We'll look at the each sentence. We'll go and see what he's saying. A supreme divine love is a creative power. So, love, the divine love is creating. It is that which creates the universe and comes down and helps each individual soul, although we are not conscious of it. Okay? It is a creative power. It is love that creates. Love is an aspect of Ananda, and it is Satchidananda that creates the world. Therefore, you can say that love also is a being an aspect of Ananda. Definitely, it's a creative power. And even though it can exist in itself, silent and unchangeable, that means at the highest level, okay, it is the true love is absolutely silent and unchangeable. Unchangeable because it is immutable. Remember, at the highest level, everything is immutable, okay? There is no movement there. It's absolutely the essential reality is there without any, because there doesn't need to change. It's perfect. That's why. Silent and unchangeable. Yet rejoices in external form and expression and is not condemned to be a speechless and bodiless Godhead. Remember the previous paragraph, what he is discussing, he says that any act of worship, okay, has got three elements in it, if you remember. One, the inner attitude with which you are doing the thing. Okay, you are remembering the divine, and with gratefulness you are offering whatever you have. It could be anything. It could be a cup of water, it could be a leaf, it could be a fruit, it could be a flower, it can be yourself, it can be your soul, it can be all the money and everything that you have got, you are giving to the divine. Okay, it can be anything. Quoting from the Bhagavad Gita. So it can be anything. So this has to be, it has got three elements. First element, the inner attitude. The second one, the image, the symbol with which you are, it could be a statue, it could be a an Om symbol, or it could be even a photograph, okay, of what you are adoring. And the last is the actual worship, the physical act. The physical act can be anything. It can be, a, as I said, arati. You take a lamp and you do arati around the photograph. That is one way. Or the other is like in the ashram we light a dhoop, okay, and send that your aspiration towards mother's room on the third floor. People look up and do that. So that is the outward act. Or you can do Shashtang Pranam. Okay, there are so many physical acts. So all these three completes the act of love and adoration. That's what he's saying. So he's saying, Sandhi is saying that although at the highest level it is static, it enjoys all the external form and expression in the physical world. There is very much love, and it enjoys this love. I think I gave you one instance of how mother was silently enjoying that offering of a very poor person. She had, the very poor person had offered good. You know, good is molasses, na? What we call jaggery in English. Okay, so she was getting that, and she kept it on her dining table or somewhere, and every day she used to take a little bit and taste it. Then Dyuman Bhai, who used to arrange her food, told her, mother, why are you going on? 7-8 days have gone by and this is now beginning to smell and even rot. So why are you eating that? The mother said, you don't know. I am not enjoying the good. I am enjoying the offering behind that was there. That is what I am enjoying. It was done with such a attitude of love and offering. That's what I am enjoying. So the divine enjoys that also, even in the physical world. That's what he's saying. It's not a speechless and bodiless Godhead. It is very much in form. The divine enjoys the external form and expression. Okay, so I go to the next sentence. It has even been said that creation itself was an act of love, or at least the building up of a field in which divine love could devise its symbols and fulfill itself in act of mutuality and self-giving. Now, this is a very interesting sentence. Let's look at it, what he's saying. He's saying that you can say in a certain sense that creation itself is an act of love. But you can take another attitude, that's why he's saying, or at least, okay? So, you can say that it is divine love that has created the world. But the normal idea is that manifestation, the divine wants to see itself in manifestation. The divine, who is formless at the highest level, wants to see himself in form. So that is another way of looking at it. That's why Srila is changing, that you can say at least, okay, that it is building up a field, okay. The field is the universe, the physical world, in which divine love could devise its symbols. All the symbols, the flowers, fruits, everything, all the symbols, human beings, okay, animals, and love is there everywhere, at every level. That's what he's saying. And fulfill it. Yeah, tell me.
One question. If it was created by love, why are, I mean, didn't the divine foresee that there would be hatred and, all the negative things?
Yeah.
Also,
That we have discussed, because in manifestation, remember these basic principles that one becomes a many. Okay? Remember,
yes.
And if one becomes a many, all many includes everything, all the possibilities, right?
But why the negative?
You are thinking it is negative. According to divine, it is not negative. It is just one extreme. Okay? if you take the example of light, it will become clear. Okay, we are thinking it is negative because at our level we are using senses which are not giving us the right picture. Okay, but if you, I usually give the image of the light, then it is easy to understand. Okay, so suppose you are sitting in the theater. Don't forget the example. Then it applies to everything, not only love but also everything, consciousness, force, everything. So you are sitting in the theater and the program is about to start. The lights are on. Okay, there is light. Then the program just begins. There's a Udar used to ring the bell, dang, and then the program is about to start. Then the lights start dimming. So now tell me, there is a 1,000-watt bulb, and the 1,000-watt bulb is slowly becoming dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. It is still light, na?
Yes,
500
Rangada.
watts, 1,000 watts, it is still light.
Yes.
So it comes down to 100 watts, it is still light.
Yes.
It goes down to 50 watts, 25 watts, 0 watts, it is still light. 0-watt bulbs we have at night, na? I use one in my room. It is
Yes.
still light. So
Yes.
suppose it becomes absolutely negative also, it is still light.
Yes,
So
Rangada, but there is no suffering there. I'm just talking about the suffering part.
suffering also is the same principle. Okay, that which is the suffering, you are seeing it as suffering. The divine is not seeing it as suffering. The divine does not see even the cruelty. It is just the range is increasing positively and negatively. It is going towards both sides. And you are seeing it as suffering. But the divine does not see it as suffering. We, because of our limitations and ignorance, we are seeing it as suffering. Okay. Or another example also we can give, which is also quite, these examples must become absolutely realities to us. Okay. Take the case of wind. Okay. I'm sitting on the seashore and it is summer and there's a nice breeze coming and I enjoy that breeze. Okay. It is
Yes.
pleasant, no suffering.
Yes. No.
Now, it becomes winter and that same wind which is coming now it becomes cold, the same wind. But now
Yes.
because of winter, you start disliking it.
Yes.
So liking and disliking is your problem, individual problem. It is not the problem of the wind that the divine has created. Is that clear?
Yes.
So,
Yes, Rangada.
yeah. So when you go to a higher level of consciousness, now whatever the condition, your capacity to withhold that increases and there is no suffering. Okay. So
Yeah.
remember that. The
I'm
suffering. Yeah, tell me.
I'm reminded of the shloka of Gita, no? There he says, Matra Sparshas tu Kaunteya.
Ah,
Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada. Agama
exactly.
Pai no Nityan Santitikshasva Bharata. So
That's right. We have to get rid of the dualities. And that is possible. The dualities are love and hate. And as Pallavi is saying, suffering and enjoyment. These are the dualities in the physical world because when the divine is creating, he is creating infinitely. So he creates light and he also creates darkness. He is not creating, it's just light which is one extreme and another extreme. You are seeing it as something negative. There is no negativeness at all in it from the higher point of view. So you have to change your position to see it as something different. Okay? Even in the physical world, see all these images, if you see, then it start becoming clear. Okay? Even in the physical world, okay, from where you are looking at something completely changes. Okay? So if you again, I'll give you the example, I'll repeat, then you will see that how it depends on your seeing, not the thing itself. Take the person sitting in the train, okay, and the train is moving and he is playing with a ball. This is also a good example to understand this phenomena. I throw the ball up and it comes down vertically to me. The train is moving at 30 miles an hour. But for me, the position of the movement of the ball is vertical, up, down, na? Clear?
Yes.
But now
Yes.
someone is standing on the platform, not in the train. How will he see the movement of the ball? Totally different. So it depends on where you are and how you are seeing. Okay, what would be the position of that the ball movement of the ball for the man on the platform? Like this, because the train is moving.
Yes.
You follow? So it depends exactly on what your consciousness is, at which level you are, okay? And you see it in according to your position and your instruments of experiencing. The eyes, okay? Eyes, ears, nose. So that is what Tarika said just now. You have to develop samatha. You have to get rid of the dualities. You should not be affected either by suffering or by ananda. Pleasure, I will say pleasure. Ananda, everything changes into ananda at the highest level. Okay? When the one ananda comes down to the physical world, it becomes a many. So it becomes 100% ananda, 25% ananda, 10% ananda, and when it goes to 0% ananda, you are seeing it as suffering. Okay? So that is the thing.
Another question, Rangada, why should it fulfill itself? It is in itself full. So why should
At
it
the highest level.
manifest to?
Then you have to apply the other principle of the infinite becoming finite. So that's why I keep saying that you must remember certain basic fundamental things and you have to apply them. One is the one becoming the many, okay? That you have to apply in the right way. Then the other one is the infinite becoming the finite, okay? Then the other one is the diminution, okay? The diminution of everything, and when it comes down to diminution, there is also a distortion. Okay, so and the distortion again, you can give another picture to yourself. All these images have to be put together to understand the phenomena. From one medium, when you go into another medium, there is a slide, the diminution is there. Okay, diminution is there. Even the atmosphere is like that. Na? At the highest level, there is a diminution of air. Okay, and at the lowest level, there is a heavy air is thick. And on Mount Everest, the air is thin. So there is a diminution. But when you go from one level to another level, or if you want from one medium to another medium, like you put a stick in water, from the air, it is going into water. What do you see? You feel that the stick is bent.
Yes.
So there is a distortion. From the highest levels to the lowest level, there is a distortion. But that distortion, is it real? It is not real. You pull the stick out, you see it's not bent at all. Okay, so that is the principle. So these principles you must remember. One becoming the many, the finite becoming the infinite. Okay, and the infinite becoming the both ways it can work. The infinite from the highest level becomes the finite. Then there is a diminution and also a distortion. But that's why you will see Sri Aurobindo in all his texts, apparent ignorance, apparent distortion. Okay, the apparent multiplicity. There is no real multiplicity. It seems to be like that. If you change your position and way of looking at it, your own consciousness will also change. You will start seeing the oneness. So there is really no suffering, but you are experiencing suffering because of your limitedness, your ignorance, your way, you are using the wrong instruments for seeing. Okay, that's what. So remember this thing. Then the problem of suffering. Yeah, I'll tell you something. Okay, there are some people who come from. Maybe some of you know them. They come from Corsica. Okay, there's two people. They come from Corsica, and that lady was telling me. Her name is Anne-Marie, and she was telling me, I just can't understand suffering in the world. I don't accept it. So I'll have to give this argument again to them, but I don't know if they will accept. Okay, she is very clear about. So you have to understand these basic principles. One becoming the many, the one infinite becoming the finite. Then there is the principle of distortion, and there is the principle of diminution. Okay, manifestation implies form, and form is limitation. Okay, again the idea of I have a huge amount of clay. Okay, It's infinite clay, but the forms are there inherent in it, but they have not yet been made into form. So how can I make that pot and pan and cup and glass? How can I make it a form? By taking a little bit of that infinite clay and giving it a form. Therefore, and there can be no manifestation without form. So when you want to manifest something, you have to give it a form, and that means limitation. And limitation means only partial knowledge and partial everything, partial everything. Even the substance becomes partial. And when it is partial, you don't see the full thing. Okay? So these are the basic principles which we have to remember. The divine does not create suffering and falsehood and cruelty. He does not create. It's our way of looking at it that changes the whole picture. That is the reason why yoga is undertaken, to change our way of looking at things. You purify your senses, you rise to a higher level of consciousness, see it in a different way, and then you realize that, oh, the problem is not God's creation, the problem is my own understanding of things, limited understanding of things. Okay?
Yes, Ranga.
Yeah, so now, see, it's true that the problem again recurs when we forget these basic principles. Okay, these 4 or 5 principles we must remember. One becoming the many, the infinite becoming form, manifestation implying form and limitation, and also an apparent distortion. And this is a distortion that makes Ananda into suffering. Okay, and it also, but it is apparent. It's only not absolutely real. Even the many is not real. It's only a seeming. Yeah, tell me.
Rangada, the yogis, even Buddha, he saw suffering as suffering, not as something different, right? As we say it.
But he gave
because
a solution.
he wanted all the yogis and the sadhus, they go away to avoid suffering, right? So
No.
their way of thinking is not the same way as what Sri Aurobindo is saying.
Absolutely the same thing. They reject the physical world. The difference is that they reject the physical world. Because there they feel that there is permanent suffering here. So if you want, what did Buddha do? He gave a solution to suffering. He says, change
But that is going away from the world, not.
That's right.
Seeing the life as a progress towards the divine, right?
That's right. There are stages, even in the realization of the divine. And that's why I speak of 3 levels. Level 1, you are in ignorance, you are seeing the many, and you see suffering, cruelty, falsehood, and evil. You see. Okay? They are real to you. So that's a problem. So everyone says that yes, that problem also has to be solved. Okay? Then when you go to the second level of the spiritual planes of consciousness, your way of looking at things changes already. But the physical world continues to be movement and imperfect. So that is, and so they go to the second level and say, I reject the physical world because it is permanently imperfect. But Sridhar is saying, wait, don't be so judgmental. Go to the third level. Who says that the second level is the spiritual planes of consciousness are the final? It is not final. There's something even higher. In fact, the divine is higher and higher you go, more and more perfection is there. Why do you want to limit the divine? There's no limit to him. He is infinite. So if you go to the third level, then you start seeing that it is the divine is not creating all these things. It is your ignorance that is creating these things. So then, that's why he says up to the supermind. Then the question arises, if the divine is infinite, is there something beyond the supermind also? And Sri Aurobindo says very clearly, yes, there is, because there's no end to it. So what will that be? Man has not yet discovered. Okay? Just like we have been able to go to the moon, but we have not yet gone to Mars. But can we do it? Yes. So after the supermind also, there will be more and more evolution. There's no doubt about it. But nobody has gone there to come back and give a report. Okay. So that's the thing. So that will happen in future. So it's a continuous process. You are going more and more towards perfection. That's why Sri Aurobindo uses true truth, Okay. Then he is perfect perfection. There are stages of perfection also. Okay. So that's the thing. So we were discussing love, and then the question of suffering came up. So we went off into a side track. So it is your way of saying that creation suffering. There is no suffering really. It's just a diminution and a distortion that takes place. Okay. But from the lower point of view, it is absolutely true that there is suffering. So is it possible that even at our level one day, this apparent distortion will be changed and we will see even something much more perfect? The answer is yes, because see, the perfection of the animal is superseded by the perfection in man. Man's perfection is far superior to that of the animal, and the perfection of man becomes much more perfect when you go to the yogic consciousness. So it goes on. There's an endless progression and going in stages, more and more perfect, more and more truth. True truth, perfect perfection. There's a constant movement.
But Ranga,
Yeah.
those who are animal lovers, they feel that animals are better than human beings.
Okay. But
They don't like human beings. They say that animals are much better than human beings.
in this sense that um, there is no perversion and cruelty and ill will.
Yeah.
These things are not there, they say. But is it not true?
None of them. That's why I'm asking you the question.
Yes, yes. But that's also a very limited way of looking at things. They don't have a mind. They can't, an animal can't produce a computer, it can't use the internet like we are using now. So there's a limitation, okay? And that limitation expresses itself in many ways. That's why his mother says that the animal world is perfect at its own level. It is perfect, but there is a better perfection. They don't have the capacity of knowledge, okay? And we have knowledge, but we don't have the capacity of integral seeing. We don't. So you have to become a yogi to see.
But all problems arise because we have a mind, no?
No, you mean to say there is no problem at the life level?
Uh,
Plenty of problems at the life level. All these things of hate and evil and all these things come from the life, from the vital.
yeah.
Mind creates its own problems. Life creates its own problems. Even the spiritual problem, spiritual level creates its own problems. It is creating the problem of the unreality of the world. This is a problem. And Sri Aurobindo solves that problem. He says, go one step higher and you will see that it is not so. Hold on, it's all a gradation. The other thing is the gradation. Remember the gradation. So these laws, one becoming the many, the infinite becoming fine, the formless becoming form, three, and the last one, gradations. Okay, just like the atmosphere and also in the sea. The sea also at the lowest level, heavy density and also darkness. And as you keep coming up, 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 the darkness and the density both go on reducing. So this is you must remember these principles and apply them at the right place. Okay. So shall we go on with the para? Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. And the more one thinks about it, slowly, slowly, these things become, well, mentally they become clearer. We don't have the experience, but at least we can justify mentally to a certain extent. Okay? Yeah. So, I go to the next sentence. I'm reading the fourth line. Okay? It has even been said that creation itself is an act of love, or at least the building up of a field in which divine love could devise its symbols and fulfill itself in act of mutuality and self-giving, if not the initial nature of creation. this may well be in its ultimate object and motive. In other words, perfect love is act of mutuality and self-giving. At our level, there is self-giving to a certain extent, but there is also a demand from the others. I am giving myself to you, but you also should give something of yourself to me. But the divine is not making any such thing. He gives himself fully to you. And so if you give yourself fully to the divine, you will become divine. That's the thing. Okay, so that's what he's saying. This may well be the ultimate object. The ultimate object, perfect mutuality and self-giving. At the human level, there is a distortion. But still, there is a, even at the human level, there are many, many examples of really platonic love. Na? You love the person and not the demands. There are no demand. Always there is a little bit of a demand. And they say, it is said that the mother's love for the child is the purest form of human love. Maybe. Okay. But there are exceptions always. Okay. And even the parents, they expect something from their children. Na? It's very common. Na? They expect that when I grow old, they will look after me. Okay. Then there are always, suppose a mother loves a child and the child does not respond. Don't you think that the love of the mother will change a little bit? So it depends. That's why I said there is the word mutuality. There has to be a both. And you can enjoy when the mutuality is perfect. I read the next sentence. It does not so appear now in the physical world because even if a divine love is there in the world upholding all this evolution of creatures, yet the stuff of life and its action is made up of an egoistic formation, the one becoming the many and the individuality increasing. The many is always a limitation to the one, to the one form, okay, the form. A division, a struggle of life and the consciousness to exist and survive in an apparently indifferent, inclement, or even hostile world of inanimate and inconscient matter. So, this whole problem of the matter becoming a big problem for yogic discipline is discussed in the Life Divine. Okay, the knot of matter, where he says that there are the characteristics of matter are three. First of all, there is total ignorance. In matter, there is no knowledge at all. It's absolute ignorance. Secondly, there is absolute division. The one has become the infinite division of the many atoms. Okay, the one which is total view of things becomes absolutely infinite atoms, atomic division. That's the whole problem. So you feel yourself divided from others. Okay, so that is the second one, and the third one is mechanical law. There is a law that becomes absolutely rigid and karma. The law of karma starts operating. Okay, so that's what he's saying, inanimate and inconscient matter. And the word inclement is interesting. The word inclement, it means, what does it mean? It means, oh, I don't have it. I have, it is, that's strange. Oh, just
Usually with the weather, no?
Yeah,
Inclement weather.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But wait. I've got the note. Okay, inclement. I have not noted. Inclement means, yeah, something, or even hostile. It's a milder form of hostility, if you want. Inclement weather is bad weather. Okay, so Srimni is saying, see, interesting, he's again giving a gradation. Okay, indifferent, apparently indifferent. Okay, someone loves you, you are indifferent to it. Inclement, slightly worse, or absolutely hostile, world of inanimate and inconscient matter. There can be three attitudes. Okay, he is giving you the gradation. In the confusion and obscurity of this struggle, all are thrown against each other with a will in each to assert its own existence first and foremost. Everybody thinks of themselves first, egoism, and only secondarily to assert itself in others and very partially for others. For even man's altruism, remains essentially egoistic and must be so till the soul finds the secret of the divine oneness. So even we are doing things for others is usually, it is basically your own egoism that is doing it, and you take credit for it. I have helped so many people, okay? So I have done this, I have done charity. So there is always an egoism there in even philanthropy and charity. That's why it's very good at the moral level. Nobody is saying charity is bad, but it is not spiritual. Again, the gradation. No? So it is certainly good to be charitable, but if you are gone to a higher level of consciousness where you have love for everybody, okay, that charity need not express itself physically. That's the thing. So it is to discover that at its supreme source, to bring it from within and to radiate it out up to the extreme confines of life, the limits of life, at the higher, the extremities, that is turned the effort of the yoga. So you have to bring that love into all aspects of life. And life can also be the opposite of love. So you have to bring that also there. All action, all creation must be turned into a form, a symbol of the cult, the adoration. So you see here, again he is repeating the three things. The symbol of the cult, remember the word cult? Adoration directed to one person, okay? And to one person or one object. In Sri Aurobindo's yoga, you are directing your adoration and worship to the master of existence. So that's why it's not narrow, okay? But usually the word cult is used in a narrow sense. You are thinking only, oh, such a person is right, this is the way to do it. There's a narrowness. But Srimati is saying all action, all creation has to be turned into three. The worship must be of three things: the form, the symbol of the cult, the adoration. The inner attitude, the symbol which you are turning your adoration and worship towards, either a photograph or an image or whatever, and the act, the physical act. All the three must be there. That's what he's saying. All action, all creation must be turned into a form, symbol of the cult, adoration, the sacrifice. It must carry something that makes it bear in it the stamp of a dedication, a reception and translation of the divine consciousness. Note the word dedication. I am giving myself to the divine, but he is also, there is a response, and then you must feel that response, a reception and a translation of the divine consciousness, a service of the beloved, okay, a self-giving, a surrender. This has to be done wherever possible in the outward body and form of the act. Even physically it must be done. That's what he's saying. It must be done always in its inward emotion and an intensity that shows it to be an outflow from the soul towards the eternal. So love can be very, very subtle, and it's certainly powerful when it is subtle, but it can also take outermost physical forms. That's what it is. So we have got 5 minutes. So we can read one more para we can read. He's talking of the adoration and the act of worship. So who will read? Anyone? Yasmin cannot read because of her throat. So
I will read, Rangadan.
okay, go ahead.
In itself, the adoration in the act is a great and complete and powerful sacrifice that tends by its self-multiplication to reach the discovery of the One and make the radiation of the divine possible. For devotion, by its embodiment in acts, not only makes its own way broad and full and dynamic, but brings at once into the harder way of works in the world the divinely passionate element of joy and love, which is often absent in its beginning, when it is only the austere spiritual will that follows in a struggling, uplifting tension, the steep ascent, and the heart is still asleep or bound to silence. If the spirit of divine love can enter, the hardness of the way diminishes. The tension is lightened. There is a sweetness and joy even in the core of difficulty and struggle. The indispensable surrender of all our will and works and activities to the Supreme is indeed only perfect and perfectly effective when it is a surrender of love. All life turned into this cult, all actions done in the love of the divine and in the love of the world and its creatures, seen and felt as the divine manifested in many disguises, become by that very fact part of an integral yoga.
Very interesting para, and we have got only 3 minutes left. But see, if you are thinking constantly that the divine is there with you, a very interesting phenomena takes place. Okay, suppose there is love between two human beings. Okay, sometimes in jest. Okay, you may even you have to understand this correctly. You know, I may hit somebody, but in love. Suppose I am having an argument with somebody and we love each other very much. Okay, if you don't agree, you may playfully hit somebody. No? So hitting somebody is can be interpreted as something bad, but when there is love, that hitting also becomes pleasant. Okay, so if you are thinking constantly that the divine is there with you and you have a bad experience, then you realize the divine is playing with you. It becomes much diminished, the pain. Okay, Sri Krishna is doing, and Srimno in his aphorisms, he says that again and again. Okay, even when the divine is giving you pain, he's playing with you. Okay, so teasing you a little bit. You can see it in that way. So I don't think we can finish this today, so we leave it here and we'll take it up next time. We'll redo this para. In itself, the adoration in the act is a great and complete and powerful sacrifice that tends by its self-multiplication to reach the discovery of the one and make the radiation of the divine possible. So adoration in the act. So that's what he, of course, only the inner adoration sitting in your chair or sitting at home is fine. But if you are doing it physically also, there is an added dimension to it. That's what it is. Okay? So, shall we stop here today? We'll, Sunki has to note down, we will redo this para in itself, the adoration. Page 160.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes.